Would you compare your career to Chris Benoit in the fact that you were taught different styles?
Yeah, well, yeah, a bit, yeah, similar, kind of, because I was lucky because early on in my career I went overseas. I wrestled overseas a lot. I remember, I was like 19 years old, and I went to Japan, and then New Zealand, Australia, and Australasia, and Singapore. I met different guys. And that molded my career differently. So when I came back to the States after that, I had a different view on wrestling, and yeah, in that sense, could just a little thing. Also, I remember when my first time in Japan, I was 19, and I was with my brother. We went to Japan and together, and back there, the older people, had complete control over the young people. So I remember, they went to my brother to ask him because they wanted to keep me there because, they liked what they saw, and they wanted to keep me there as to maybe learn from them and stay there. And I remember my brother saying, hey, you better, because I'm going to leave you here, and so, it was fun. I enjoyed looking at different styles, and so that molded me into when I came back in the States in 1970, 78, 79, 80, I had a different view on wrestling.
Is there any style that was your favorite style?
No, I kind of make a melting pot out of the whole thing and created something, from it.
How did you wind up in Portland?
Yeah, Portland. Okay. I was like I said, I was a booker in Hawaii, and the sheep herders or the bushwhackers were working for me there, and I befriended with them, and I knew them also from New Zealand because when I was in New Zealand in '77, they were there, and they were in Portland with Roddy and Buddy Rose and all these guys, and finally they called me up, says, Rick, when you're through, in Hawaii, you should think of come down here. We have a great crew, it's a lot of fun, and we're doing good business, and I think it'd be ideal, to complete the crew, to be part of that crew. I said yes, and I went there after.
Memories of Don Owens.
Don is Don. He's a guy that brings a lot of a smile into my face right away because Don was particular. I'd never seen a promoter. He used to pay you in rolls of quarters sometimes, and I mean, with $5 bills, and I mean, it's unbelievable. And he was a funny guy, but I'll tell you what, Don was an honest man. I mean, his word was gold. I mean, he'd tell you something, and he was a good man, I mean, and he was like he talked like a farmer, I mean, he was different style, like, let's say, like a Vince Senior, I mean, but in his own way, he was a good promoter. He treated the guy right, and I never seen him, treat a guy unfairly. He was always fair to everybody and wanted to do good.
Memories of Roddy Piper.
Roddy, I mean, it's like my big brother. Roddy and I mean, we spent so much time. When I was in Hawaii, that's where I first met him. I'd heard about him, and I had Jay York working for me, and he mentioned Roddy. He said, "Look, you got to see this guy. It's great, and this and that." So I said, "Yeah, sure." And so Roddy came over, and Buddy Rose also, because I had worked with Buddy a while. So he mentioned about Roddy, and then when Roddy came to Hawaii, we instantly became, good friends. I mean, and then when I went to Portland, we were roommates.
And in fact, we were in a couple accidents, car accidents together. I mean, pretty rough. I had just brought a brand new Trans Am because we did an angle in Hawaii where, the winner gets a new car, and I was the winner of the Battle Royal, and I had a brand new Trans Am, and so and then after that, I left the territory like 6 weeks later, so I had my Trans Am shipped to Oregon, and I had it, I think, like maybe 2 weeks, and then Mount St. Helens erupted, and Highway 5, when you go from Portland to Seattle, Highway 5 goes right in front of Mount St. Helens. So they shut down the territory for a couple of days because we couldn't travel, And so the first day that we could travel, I think it was Tacoma we're going to. So I'm driving, and all of a sudden, it was like a weird feeling. Everything was gray, all the ashes were all over, and it was dangerous because when the cars, especially the big 18-wheeler would pass, the ashes would rise, it's light, and you couldn't see like a snowstorm. And all of a sudden, we see there was a big accident right in the middle of the highway. There was a 18-wheeler, a pickup truck, and a car, and I hit the three of them, and my car went right underneath the 18-wheeler, right up to the dash. Mm-hmm. So, and I remember Roddy, oh man, we're all excited, nervous. So he goes like this, like he's gonna, the window, the side window, and it's my new car, and I'm in shock. No, don't do that. No. We went through the roof, because we had like a sunroof. Yeah. So we got out of there, and the other truck were coming behind, and it was really bad. And here we are, after the accident. He's got one end of the towel, and I got the other end. We were like this, the ashes, we almost got killed, right? So, but we made the shot that night, and I remember walking in, it's an 18-wheeler that took us to the town, to the building even, he left us right by the building. We got out, like everything full of ashes, all the car, and that shot, you guys are late, God damn it, you almost got killed. Yes, Jesus Christ. Roddy, like I said, Roddy's like my big brother, I love him.
Memories of your series with Buddy Rose?
Buddy is an excellent, I love this guy. I love to work with him. I had some excellent matches, and he was good at his craft, and he was creative, and I really enjoyed working with him. And I remember we had a little inside joke, and because he'd be in the ring, he'd have you in the hole or something, and he liked to tell you sometimes like, okay, do this, and move by move. And I said like, look, I know how to work. So and every night say, okay, Rick, just do this and raise your hand a little bit. I said, so I remember one night I told him in a way, Rocky Johnson, the way he talked, I said, hey, I knew how to work. Just tell me, the next move, something like that. And he was like, we always, I worked some hours with him, and it was never boring. We always create new moves and stuff.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.